Hey, a walking video. It's been a little while. It's kind of gnarly, so I don't bother with this. Kind of loud too, and whatnot. Yeah. But anyway, you prickers. Professoranton and friend. All right, did a little conversation with that DawahFilms guy. For what purpose? I don't know. A pussy atheist talking to a pussy Muslim, right? That's what it comes down to. Yeah, it's just kind of stupid. Wishy-washy. Anyway, but they do say some things. I mean, now and then Professor Anton waxes poetic on the idea that the real measure of our humanity is our capacity to look in each other's eyes and see ourselves, and to value the other consciousnesses involved in this game of life, and recognize this in a broader, bigger picture that extends beyond your own meager, short existence, and appreciates that feelings will go on after you're dead. Life will go on as it did before you arrived, and all those lives are just as meaningful and in need and comfort and all that kind of crap as yours, and that we should have a vision that is a little more expansive, or whatever the right word for that is. So anyway, yeah, that part's okay, but all the rest is tripe. And you're just like, how can he veil something, a simple principle? Why does he veil it in all of this gobbledygook about, he calls it the eternal haunting itself, a gift God gave to itself. Yeah, I mean, addiction is the gift that keeps on taking, right? I mean, come on. These rationalizations, these excuses, these apologies for the living condition, for the natural circumstance. It's just such bullshit. Why? Why apologize for our bastard creation? Why try to turn it into something other than no, don't go out. Oh, god damn it. I don't have any matches in my pocket. Son of a bitch. Alright, well, I'm gonna finish the cigarette because there's no point in not finishing it. So, I'm gonna have a little bit of a timeout announcement. Do not. If you're contemplating ever picking up a cigarette and starting to smoke cigarettes, don't do it, fucker. I mean, person of unknown fucker or fuckability. Sorry, noticing all the little shells from whatever that stuff is called, some kind of vine. But anyway, I used to have to collect that for a client, but no more. Anyway, alright, so there's so many of these one-liners that you could just do whole videos on, because these words that come out of their mouths are just stunned. So the DawahFilms guy said something like, well, most religious people believe it's immoral to impose their morality on other people. And it's just like, what are you talking about? It's the whole premise of the religion is belong to our club or else we'll put a fucking bounty on your fucking head and kill you. I mean, come on. Fuck you. I mean, why is anybody listening to this asshole anyway? He thinks there's some booger man up in the sky who's telling him to grow a beard, right? He's not curious. Booger man isn't curing cancer or doing anything important. No, he's telling women to put a glad bag over their head and telling men to wear beards. And we should be listening to this fucktard? Your God is nonsense. And to sit there and suggest that humanity needs any more of your poison, or that we're losing something if we free ourselves from that dumb, stupid, retarded delusion that is just a veil for bigotry and ignorance and convenience and hate and every other bad thing that human beings have ever come up with. Fuck you, jackass. Especially you jackasses who'd say, well, I'm going to cherry pick the dumbest book on earth. What's the fucking point? Why should I cherry pick the yellow bus? What am I going to cherry pick it for? Little round, small wheels and an ugly color, puke-stained seats. What am I going to get out of that bus? Nothing. It's a retard bus. There's nothing valuable on it. So fuck you. Anyway, just throw that in. This whole trying to recontextualize what religion is just such a crock of shit. Religion's been a huge suppression of human progress. this completely distorted and perverted human perspective, and has nothing. There's no grace to our humanity whatsoever in those silly rituals, in that silly dogma ritual. It's got people behaving like assholes. So fuck you. And this, religion is good for humanity. Fuck you. All right. Anyway, let's see. All right, beautiful. All right. So then there was this whole part where that DawahFilms guy. I'll just get to the question that matters. All right. So he says, people ask me, what's the point of creation? Because DawahFilms is conceding it's kind of an ugly painting. He called it a beautiful, ugly painting, like. Well, that doesn't make any fucking sense, of course. You can't even, you're so wishy-washy, you can't even appropriately describe the circumstance. That, it's beautiful when my addiction is strong, and it's ugly as hell when my addiction is weak. Yeah, that sounds like great fun. But anyway, and so he said his argument was, his response to this idea that God should have a fucking point, is that God is an artist, you see, and he's just finger painting or slopping around, and we've just got to appreciate, his art, even though he's making his art out of our blood, our suffering. We're supposed to just lie back and say fine. And so the other part was, he was saying that does there really have to be one? Okay, so I mean, see that you could spend a lot of time dissecting that kind of remark, because it's very revealing. And there's a lot of atheists running around with that kind of attitude, like somehow, just sit back, let the DNA do the DNA thing. Let's all be ruled by chemistry, a molecule. That makes sense. And then this whole idea that you have a God, you're professing that exists. You're so committed to him that you're being obedient to his mandate that you grow a beard, and yet you're saying he doesn't have to have a purpose. He doesn't have to have any rationality running through his brain. The most obvious functionality of a human being, the thing that separates it from the other beasties, is that capacity to answer questions, to be obliged to have a reason for their behavior, to do things with purpose and deliberation, and to defend those actions and the efficiency of them. That's what makes us human. And so you're saying your God doesn't have to have any of those human qualities of rational accountability. That's the definition of a retard. God damn. Anyway, worry about it later. So that's just the most irritating thing that comes out of all these people's mouths, is this idea that there doesn't have to be an accounting, that there's some kind of perspective that makes it rational to be devoted to a God that has no agenda, that is acting out of nothing comprehensible, that's just picking its nose and with a booger. I mean, what the fuck is that? It's not even that purposeful. They're not even arguing that we're satisfying some itch that God has. They're arguing that God doesn't have to have a rational purpose, and he doesn't have to have even a subjective personal purpose. No, this doesn't have to be a purpose. And they're going to be devoted to such an instrument. They're going to be obedient to such a force. You can't come up with a more, it's like the ultimate fucktarded Star Trek villain or something. The Borg that has no agenda. The agendaless Borg. And that's the DNA, though. The agenda is just biology and this mechanism of get yourself into the future. Reproduction. Probably needs another word to make reproduction understood by people, because that's an evolutionary dynamic. It's almost more than just having a child. It's a mechanism that's constrained and refined by the environment, and so it's this very methodical, almost kind of reproduction. It's reproduction to a circumstance, by the demands of an environmental competition that takes place day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, on and on and on. It has all these different contexts. You can be a great success one day and a great failure the next. You could have a baby and it could be dead in 2 years before it ever reproduces. So you were a success until you were a failure. That kind of thing. Genetically. So that's all its game is this genetic game. And let's just be honest. Professoranton's always talking about being honest, and getting to grips with our mortality. Well, get a grip on your useless-tality, on your pointless-tality, your futility, because that's the real game of understanding, if that's what you're promoting, is understanding, and not just placating the needs of psychology. Understanding. So anyway, he talks to it. That's another thing. He's very eloquent. Oh, we're all among the community of the dying. Unfortunately, that would be great. I could feel all warm and gooey if that's what human beings were doing. But obviously, with 7 billion people on Earth, people are doing something besides dying. They're reproducing all over the fucking place. They're revalidating. They're putting new victims on the dying ride. And that's the important subject. That's the important reality. What is the consequence of that bullshit? That just perpetuates the very dilemma you're lamenting we can't control. That's the word too. DawahFilms guy. Oh yeah, we can't control anything. That's always the religious bullshit. Is, hands off. We have no control. We've got to give ourselves to the master. Or somehow the master blaster, who's just, painting with his asshole, a brush in his ass. We got to give control to that lunatic. Fuck that. Yeah, well, maybe we can't control everything, but we can control a lot of things. And, you can't have control till you take control. That's the way control works. It just doesn't fall on you. You got to take it. You got to go out and get it. You got to want it. And obviously, people like you are advocating a lack of want to control. Yes, I hate going to do this cigarette thing. I am going to finish my cigarette. So anyway, I hate this time of year. I do. I hate winter. This is close to it. Good. Last little bit. Ugh. Oh, God. Oh, man, my shoulder is so fucked. So anyway, yeah, we can control. We can certainly control. We got the whole game is under our control. We can certainly control the memes that travel through each other's heads. We can certainly preach different sermons. You assholes aren't activating people. You aren't energizing people to take control. No, you're turning everybody into into this wishy-washy, fanny-packy, sissy philosophy bullshit that has nothing to do with taking responsibility and taking control. The very thing we can do if it wasn't for you naysayers and nitpickers and whiners getting in our fucking goddamn way. Not even whiners, is the wrong word. You acquiescers. Fight, You fight for your life, but you don't fight for your dignity. You're just going to be owned by a fucking protein. A fucking gluey fucking protein. It's going to own you. Nothing more than drool or semen. Yeah, and you're owned by it. Anyway, that's enough, I think. I believe so. Addiction. I understand it, but I don't advocate it. And that's the difference. Be an addict. Be caught up in your little lifey games and dancing your little fucking dances. But don't sit here and rationalize the dance, the game, the bullshit. And that's what you fuckers are doing. You're veiling it in a lie. So anyway, till next time. And so forth and such.